The Ghost Fleet of the Great Lakes, America's Forgotten Maritime Empire, and the Conspiracy that Sank It. Imagine a nation, not yet a global superpower, but a burgeoning industrial giant, whose very lifeblood pulsed through a hidden network of inland seas. Imagine a fleet, vast and unparalleled, that carried the raw materials of modernity, iron, coal, grain, across freshwater highways far from the oceans. Now imagine this titanic armada, built on the backs of immigrant labor, driven by relentless innovation, suddenly and mysteriously vanish, not from the high seas, but from the depths of political intrigue and economic warfare. This is not a tale of pirates or legendary sea monsters. This is the astonishing true story of America's Great Lakes maritime empire, a saga of ambition, ingenuity, and a stunning conspiracy that nearly crippled a nation on the brink of 2 world wars. For a century, the Great Lakes were not merely lakes, they were the arteries of American power, a bustling industrial heartland that fueled the nation's rise. And at its core lay a purpose-built vessel, the Lakers, unlike any other in the world. They were ungainly, efficient, and utterly indispensable. This is the story of how that fleet became a weapon, and how, in an act of staggering audacity, it was deliberately dismantled, sunk, and repurposed, not from an enemy U-boat, but by the very forces meant to protect it. It's a forgotten chapter of American history, a secret kept beneath the waves and buried in the archives, finally brought to light. Part 1. The Freshwater Leviathans. Long before the vast shipping containers of today plied the Pacific, before supertankers crossed the Atlantic, America was building its future on the shimmering expanse of the Great Lakes. From the roar of Niagara to the wilds of Lake Superior, a unique maritime culture was taking root. The cities on their shores, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, weren't just growing, they were exploding, fueled by the relentless flow of goods across these 5 interconnected giants. By the turn of the 20th century, the Great Lakes represented an economic miracle. Iron ore, gouged from the Mesabi Range in Minnesota, was transported by specially designed bulk carriers to the steel mills of Ohio and Pennsylvania. Coal from Appalachia moved in the opposite direction, powering the factories and heating the homes of the industrial North. Grain from the vast farmlands of the Midwest flowed eastward, feeding a growing nation and, increasingly, a hungry world. The sheer volume of this trade was staggering. More tonnage passed through the Soo Locks, the crucial waterway connecting Lake Superior to Lake Huron, than through the Suez and Panama Canals combined. The ships themselves were marvels of engineering adapted to a unique environment. The Lakers were distinct, incredibly long, shallow drafted, and equipped with cavernous holds perfectly suited for bulk cargo. They were designed for the confined channels and furious gales of fresh water, not the open ocean. Their pilots were a breed apart, navigating by instinct and intimate knowledge of every shoal, every current, every fickle mood of the inland seas. These were not glamorous ocean liners, they were workhorses, the unsung heroes of America's industrial might. The scale of this operation was mind-boggling. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of these vessels crisscrossed the lakes. Shipping companies grew into formidable corporations, their fleets often numbering in the hundreds. Railroads, originally rivals, became partners, seamlessly transferring cargo at bustling docks. The Great Lakes, in essence, were America's first superhighway, a preeminent example of its logistical genius. But the very success of this system made it a target. As the world lurched towards global conflict in the early 20th century, the Great Lakes Fleet became more than just an economic asset. It became a strategic resource. Its ability to move vast quantities of raw materials cheaply and efficiently was a cornerstone of American industrial power, a power that the world was about to desperately need. But few outside the shipping magnates and naval strategists truly grasped the full significance of what was being built, and fewer still could imagine the audacious plot that would soon unravel it. The sheer efficiency and isolation of this freshwater empire made it uniquely vulnerable, a hidden jewel ripe for the plucking. The year is 1917. Europe is a charnel house, consumed by the Great War. America, after years of neutrality, finally casts its lot with the Allies. Suddenly, the nation is faced with an unprecedented demand for steel, for armaments, for food to feed a continent. The ships of the Great Lakes, once purely instruments of commerce, are now eyed as instruments of war. But there's a problem. These freshwater leviathans, designed for inland waters, are simply too big, too long, too awkward to navigate the narrow canals and locks required to reach the open ocean. Or so everyone thought. What followed was a feat of engineering, subterfuge, and sheer will that remains one of the most remarkable yet least known episodes in American maritime history. The stage was set for the Great Lakes Fleet to play an unexpected role on the world stage, a role that would demand unimaginable sacrifices and lead to a decision that would haunt the lakes for generations. The peaceful waters were about to become a battleground, not of cannon fire, but of national interest, corporate greed, and a shocking act of deliberate destruction that would clear the way for a new kind of naval power. The Ghost Fleet was about to be born, not from the fog of war, but from the cold calculations of necessity.